Do you feel like I have it now? I know I hear the voice, but sometimes I'm not sure if it's the voice of God or if it's a counterfeit voice. If you have ever felt this way, please stay tuned. Oftentimes, when we know that we've been called, we hear the voice calling us to do something in particular. We don't know quite yet how to move in the future, but we know we don't want to go where we were, and we're trying to figure out how to go where we're called. Sometimes we may feel like it's a holding pattern. We're in hold. We're on hold. So that is a very important time. What are you listening to? When you are in the midst of change and transformation, what are you listening to? So what we're going to talk today about is how to detect the counterfeit voice. And I'm going to give you 5 ways that you will know. Here's the first one. It will have you walking into your future backwards, looking at your past. Let me say that again. It will have you walking into your future backwards while you're looking at the past. Oftentimes, when God is bringing you somewhere new, that is uncomfortable, that is somewhere that makes you stretch and grow, and it's so big, and you're so afraid. And sometimes you'll hear that little voice that says, are you good enough? Has God really called you? I know you see other people, or you've seen someone else doing that or saying that or having that, but is that for you? Am I worthy of that? Or maybe it's, am I good enough to receive it? But overall, it will have you sitting in your past. Let me tell you a quick story. Growing up, I was in a military family, and my dad had things that he needed to work through emotionally. But oftentimes, he didn't feel comfortable talking about his emotions and things like that. So a way that he coped was drinking alcohol. And so that's how I grew up, just thinking, okay, that's how my dad copes with it. So he went to work, he was in the military for 20 years, retired, and every day he looked put together. But when he would drink on the weekends, you could see how broken sometimes that he was, and how he didn't want to deal with that emotion, so he just wanted to be numb, and just as if everything's okay, because that's what alcohol or drugs or anything, social media, addictions, whatever those are, they numb you, and you never really deal with the issue. And so what I learned watching that growing up is that you should always look put together and duct tape the inside. Get super glue and just super glue yourself, but always look put together. Don't let anybody know, right? And it's not that you go shouting from the rooftops issues that are going on, but it was never share that. You always keep up this image. And so I carried that into my adulthood and felt like, okay, I'm going to keep on this image, but inside, I was always thinking and listening to that counterfeit voice. Are you good enough? Who do you think you are? Are you worthy? Hey, if you do get it, can you keep it? And so I was listening to that counterfeit voice. And I think a lot of us do, and we get caught up, and it causes us to become stagnant because we're listening to that counterfeit voice. Here's the second one. There's a problem for every solution. Have you felt like, okay, I'm excited, I can do this, this, and this. And then you hear the voice, the God voice talking to you, and it's like, okay, this may come up, but here's a solution to that. And this may come up, and here's a solution. But when you hear that counterfeit, there's a problem for every solution. It's the opposite. You may think, I can go get this, and here's a solution. And here comes this other voice that says, can you really do that? I don't see that working out for you. Is anybody really going to buy that service or product? Can you really get that job? Once you get a degree or that certification, does anybody really care? Is that man or woman really going to find you attractive? Are you even going to get what you're thinking that you're praying for? Are you even, you've been praying and nothing has happened. Are you wasting your time? That counterfeit voice creates a problem for every solution. The third one, a lack of authenticity. Oftentimes, just like I was talking about in the first example, how I felt like you had to look a certain way on the outside and duct tape and super glue the internal. And I think that's how the world is right now. It's like everybody lives based off their highlight reel. You know, it's like, oh, they look like everything's perfect. They're always on vacation. They have this type of, family and background and wealth or whatever they put on their highlight reel. But what we don't see is that they were on their knees, crying, looking for a way out. They were on the floor in tears, looking for purpose or looking for a breakthrough or just trying to get peace, looking for healing. We don't see that. But what we think is, let's live a highlight reel life. Let's focus on being inauthentic because that's when I can be accepted. Because if I tell people secrets, if I tell people or expose who I really am, I don't know if I'll be accepted. I don't know if I'll be viewed the same. So let me live off that highlight reel. That's what the counterfeit will show you. Live in the highlight reel. Have you living a secret and inauthentic life so that you can feel like you're part of the world and that you're worthy or that you're good enough. The fourth one, it'll cause fear, doubt, worry, and an overall lack of peace. That's what the counterfeit voice will do. Hey, you know what? I hear what the voice of God is telling me to do, but you know what? I'm ready. And then you hear this voice, be afraid. Or don't you feel kind of afraid about that? What if you fail? Or what if you succeed and you have to be that person consistently? You know what? Instead, maybe you should just kind of take it slow, maybe procrastinate a little bit, maybe do a little self-sabotage, and then you won't have to be that person. Are you afraid of success? Man, or maybe you should be afraid of failure. It's based on fear, doubt, worry. That's what you can hear in the counterfeit voice. The fifth and final one, staying small. It will have you feeling like you don't fit your calling from God. I know I hear the voice. I know you have shown me the vision of my purpose. I hear you, God. But can I do it? And so here comes this voice. I don't know if you can do it. Can you? Well, you've seen what's happened before when you try to step out on faith. You saw how you failed. You see what people, you told them you were starting a business and it failed and you disappointed people and they said, I told you so. Or maybe it's, I want to break out and do this stuff, change my family tree, whatever, do something different. And I don't know about that. And if the counterfeit voice doesn't tell you, sometimes someone else can come and tell you. So there's multiple ways in how that works, but then once you hear it, then it takes a hold if you let it, and you start listening to that counterfeit voice. And so I just wanted to touch base about the counterfeit voice, and the next video I'll make is how we can really focus on listening to the voice of God and move in that versus listening to the counterfeit. Again, the counterfeit voice reminds you of your past, has a problem for every solution, lack of authenticity, and have you living in secret of who you truly are, fear, doubt, worry, and having a lack of peace. And the fifth one is staying small. I hope that you will continue to go on this journey with me as we open up and talk about how sometimes, even though we hear the voice of God, that counterfeit voice will come. And these are some tips that you can use to identify that. In the next video, we'll talk about what you can do when you do hear the counterfeit voice.